Hi guys, so I'm here thinking about Diddy's case, and it seems to me that he has a bail or bust mindset, and I think that it's possible that this could end up bankrupting him and compromising the actual case. If he spends all of his resources trying to get bail. I mean, he offered 50 million and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a lot of money, and that's not the only money. I mean, he's spending money on his lawyers, his legal team, his general lawyers, as well as his appellate lawyers to do all of these appeals. And while I understand that he wants to get out at any cost, who wouldn't, right? And if you have the resources, why not try? But it's like it demonstrates a sort of dangerous misunderstanding of the legal and financial implications of his situation. um Bail, I don't know what percentage of detainees get bail, because as I've said before, I don't I don't know anything about criminal law. I have knee-jerk reactions, gut feelings about things, and that's sort of what I express here. So take it all with a grain of salt and never ever quote me ever, right? But it seems like the bail process is, it exists to allow defendants, obviously, to be out, to be free while they're awaiting trial. But obviously it's not an entitlement and it's not a guarantee, especially for people who are charged with charges like Diddy. But we know that others like him, like the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, are bailed. But the court is going to weigh a lot of factors. And obviously, in Diddy's case, with that video, we don't have a corresponding video in the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO's case to show that he's violent. So there's an issue of public safety. Diddy's also charged with arson, blowing people's cars up and things like that. So the nature of his alleged offenses, plus the behind bars, you know, choices that he made, which I explained in the video before that, need to be reframed as, a desperate man just trying to get an opportunity to have a private conversation as he strategized about his legal case and his legal defense, which I think is his constitutional right? So that he can help his lawyers mount an effective defense on his behalf. This is his constitutional right. So he did some stuff. It was a breaking of the rules. But then I said, on appeal, we can look at, attacking the policy itself that prevents defendants, especially pretrial defendants, from, just having some privacy in their communications. Diddy was being raided, he was being monitored, he knew it, and then he took some desperate measures to try to circumvent that, got himself into a lot of trouble. That all said, bottom line, he broke the rules, right? And for the judge, and I think the judge said that his attorneys lied about something, where they said that, some notes that were taken in the raid were marked as legal when in fact they were not. So that's another problem too. If the attorneys fibbed, the judge just got fed up with the whole lot of them, Diddy and his lawyers, and he sent Diddy back to jail. So now Diddy's going to spend all of his resources trying to post exorbitant bail, but this could just deplete his resources to such an extent, right? In terms of the bail and paying for the legal services, because this is not cheap. What I'm giving you here is what lawyers charge Diddy, $300 an hour for. Like, I have no money, right? I always say this, people laugh, but like, I have the answers. I always have the answer, but no money. I don't know what that is. I have to change it. Perhaps I can't, but it's what it is, right? But so he's trying to post this bail. It's going to deplete his resources because he doesn't have infinite resources. Let's be honest, right? And in the end, he's going to potentially compromise his ability to mount a robust legal defense in May, when the trial is actually on, right? Now, the Constitution, we know, guarantees the right to legal legal representation, but it does not guarantee bail just because you can post the highest price for the bail, right? Now, by chasing this bail, Diddy risks, in my opinion anyway, squandering funds on a losing battle while diverting attention from the real fight, which is securing his acquittal in May, right? It's like a thing now, I'm thinking, I mean, I understand he wants to get out, but I think that, you know, look, his conduct in jail, violating the communication restrictions and so on, as I said, look, we need to reframe that if we're going to go ahead with this appeal. But it does undermine his credibility before the court. And I think that the court above, the appellate court, is going to say the same thing, right? Even though you do this Hail Mary, you try to reframe it, they're going to still say yes. But at the end of the day, we can't trust him, right? And then he's wasted all these tens of thousands of dollars on appeals and all of this, and he still can't get bail, right? So it's going to reinforce the perception to the court, I think, that he's unwilling to abide by legal or procedural norms, right? And they're going to deny the bail. I think they're going to deny the bail. Plus, the violence is indefensible, and I have always said that, right? Domestic battery is not necessarily racketeering and all the other things he's been charged with. And for me, I don't really see what the prosecution has to really, support these explosive federal charges. But, look, I haven't seen all that they have, right? They could be holding that to blow it up in our faces later on for the trial. They're saving that for the trial. So I say that with a grain of salt. But at the same time, I have said that even if they spliced that video and edited the video, what we saw, the minute he put his hand on that woman, he was in a situation that I can't defend. You as a man, don't put your hand on a woman, because the average woman cannot fight unless she's, what do you call it when they have the sex change operation? Trans. Unless she's a trans woman or trans man, whatever it is, I don't even know. Don't be offended. A lot of terms and pronouns, I'm not like huge expert on it, right? But unless a woman is not like an original woman and she became a woman from a man, she can't fight a man. She can't fight the average man. I mean, even a man who's the same physical size as she is, she can't fight him. Men are stronger, right? And you put your hand on a woman, and you can see that the way he beat Cassie in that hotel. This was not the first time he was beating Cassie, and I don't think it's the first time he's beating a woman. He's a woman beater. And so for that reason, I think that if he spends a year in jail waiting for the trial, but is ultimately acquitted of racketeering and all the other stuff, right, that time served could count towards his sentence, effectively balancing justice with efficiency. Because I think there's justice in him being punished to some extent and being held accountable and suffering the consequences for the battery, right? I want to see more evidence with regard to the other federal charges, like the racketeering and all of this other gook, right? Now, for a man like Diddy, whose public persona has been built on control and power and bad boy, whatever, obviously it's very, very difficult for him, very, very difficult for him to cede power and control, because he has built a public persona on control and power and bad boy and, as I've said. But I think that, in the long run, prioritizing a well-prepared defense over desperate attempts for bail might result in a better outcome for Diddy financially and otherwise, and then even if he's sort of convicted of, domestic battery, which obviously he did, he's already served the time, so it will be over. So he might as well what I'm saying is that it might be worth it, if he could do it, to just surrender to the process, and redirect resources into his defense, forget the appeals of the bail, and let the legal system play out, Yeah, for what that's worth, for what that's worth. That's my opinion. Okay, for today.